All right, it's setting up. All right. Mute this. Give people some time to come in. And it's only fitting that in the background noise you hear Jay-Z's Change the Game because that's the title of today's podcast episode. So we're going to give some time. I'm going to let some people out on Twitter know we're live. Hopefully in the future, I don't get a takedown because Jay-Z's people will hear me using his music. This is solely some background noise and not meant to steal his art. If need be, I will cut it out. So let me let everybody know I'm live. And we will get rolling. All right, let's turn Jay and Beanie and Memphis Bleak off, and we'll get into today's episode of Advisor of Tomorrow. So a little unique approach today. It's going to be just me. So I have some slides I'm going to throw up. Not that I like doing slides, but as much as I love being on video and having podcasts and having conversations, rolling solo is not something that is really honestly that comfortable to me. I like being with other people and talking about things with other people. So we're going to throw some slides up here in a second just to kind of have some things to follow along. I see that I have a viewer at home I want to say hello to. Roman and Leo, hello. Thank you for tuning in on your lunch break. Hope school is going well. So I want to shout you guys out. And then let's dive in. So, I tweeted out, you saw the advertisement, the logo, the picture about today's episode about changing the game. Sorry, no Silas. That was false advertising, but trying to get people in however I can. If I have to use Silas to pull you in, then I'm going to do that. But what I mean change the game is I have a mission, I have a goal, I have aspirations of being a part of a movement of changing the way that first financial advisors are perceived by the public, and then that spilling over into financial services as general. And I actually have a funnel of ways that I want to contribute to this. So changing the game, when I talk about this, it's more about changing the perception of the way that we are looked at as financial advisors. And we've got some work to do. Some of it is our own doing as working in financial services, and we'll get into that as well. And some of it is we've never had the opportunity as financial advisors to do this before. So now that the opportunity is here, let's go ahead and take that opportunity to change the way that people view us, build that trust, and be a profession that's respected and not looked at with red flags first. So let me share my screen, and I have to give all the credit to Jack Butcher. I am somebody that is quick to see something that somebody else does and use that in my own way. So last night I was watching his interview with Eric Jorgensen about the Naval book, and they had basic slides like this. They had the images on the side, and I really, really liked this. So this is not a unique idea. I give Jack all the credit, but I'm also not above using somebody else's ideas and making them my own as well and tweaking them. So we got change the game. I want to lay some ground rules before we jump into today's conversation. And before we get too far in, a reminder on my second screen over here, which you can't see, I've got the chat up. So you have comments, you have questions, please bring those in because that makes my job a little bit easier, that I don't have to rant for 30 or 40 minutes. So this will be a little bit shorter. So again, if you're just tuning in on YouTube, just me today. Our guest for today is actually going to be coming on in 2 weeks. I will tease her name in the future, but I also want to let everybody know that there is a bonus episode next week, same time, same place. And the wonderful Brittany Castro is going to be joining me to talk about personal branding and her story and why it's so important. So that is going to be, Mr. Ross wants to know where my on-ramp shirt is. I wore that in a different video. It's dirty. So ground rules. Before we get into this conversation, I want to set some ground rules for the conversation today, but then also how we as a group collectively are going to approach this and do better and be better. So first and foremost, when we talk about changing the game of the perception of financial advisors, we've got to all agree that clients always have to come first. And the echo chamber that I live in, whether it's in the AGC or on FinTwit or with my local advisors that I'm friends with here, this is obvious. But we all know that there are advisors still operating in the old world of sales first, me, and we're never going to fully escape that. We're going to address this down here in a moment, but first and foremost, before we can really get to all the fun stuff of changing the game, we've got to make sure we all agree that clients come first. We put them first. It's all about them, and then good things will come from there. Second, if you're going to be rolling with me on this journey to change the way that we are looked at, optimism wins. Whether that's optimism about the work that you do and the way you can help people, optimism about our profession, optimism about the future of just life in general. We've got to attack this in a optimistic, positive way. So optimism and positivity always win. And that's the only way I know how to operate. And that's the only way we're really going to change this, because if we're fighting each other, let's take a step back and think about, well, what does the public think when they see people in the same profession arguing and fighting with each other? It's not a good look. And we do too much of that. And that kind of ties into the next one. We're all better together, meaning we as a profession improve, get better. All ships rise when we're all rising together. So we are better if we are working together. There are good financial advisors in every model. There are good advisors that are fee only. There are good advisors that are hybrid. There are good advisors that are in the commission world. And we can put great, fantastic, however you want to define the highest level of advisors. I just went generic with good in all models. And there are crummy, dishonest people, bad advisors in all models. There are bad advisors that are fee only. They're fiduciaries, quote unquote, but they're really not. There are bad advisors in the hybrid, in the commission world. So we need to get past this hanging our hat on what differentiates us is talking bad about other business models. If we go back to number one, if clients are first, an advisor in every single one of those models can put the clients first and do what's best for them. Now, there may be constraints, there may be conflicts, but if those are disclosed and you're doing the best that you can do within a constrained environment. I lived there before. I worked at a 403B company, and there were limitations to what we could do, but I did the best that I could for my clients in that model, knowing that I was not going to be there forever and knowing that I was protecting them from having somebody who was not going to have their best interest in that model. Then that's the best I could do at that time. So we need to quit this bickering over who charges what and what model is best in this. And if we all focus on doing what's right for the clients, we all focus on being transparent, we all focus on being honest and doing the best work we can, then I think it all shakes itself out. The bad actors will be found, the good actors will be found. And as a whole, if more good advisors are being found, then our profession looks better. And if we're looked at as we're working together as a team, then we as a profession become more trusted, because now it looks like we're all working together to help people make better decisions with their finances and do better and achieve their goals. So we are better together, not fighting against each other. You have to come with me with a mindset of abundance. There are more than enough people who need help. And if we look at where I think that this movement can initiate, it's going to be with the independent space first, just from compliance reasons. We have more ability to tell our story and go out and be out there. We also have the ability to develop niches or niches, however you want to say it, but there are more than enough people to help. So don't go into this and abandon the mindset that it's only me or you. I eat or you and you starve, or you eat and I starve. That's not how this works. Have an abundance mindset and realize that you can't help everybody in the world. And the reality of it is we're better off finding where we are strongest and helping people who need that type of advice, and then hooking those that don't fit that avatar to the advisor that can really help them best. So there are more than enough people to help. There are more than enough business models out there to help people. So you've got to come with me with a mindset of abundance, that there's more than enough people to help and we could all do well together. So now we're not fighting against each other. We're figuring out how do we best help people? How do we best work together? And then the final piece, and this is more for today, is that the way I think we can best do this is that it's going to be through content. No surprise. We're going to get to that. But the way I think we change our profession together is not the right way for everybody. There are different ways to change the way that we are perceived above and beyond creating content and telling our story. So this may not be for everyone, and that's okay. If you have a way to grow your business and do good for more people, then you keep doing that. If you're better off doing seminars, if you're better off doing referrals, or you just don't like doing this stuff, you don't have to do it. And again, if you're doing good work, going back to number one, then people are going to be happy with you. They're going to view that you are a good advisor. Advisors are good people, and it's good for all of us. So we're all connected, and you've got to do what's right for you. That being said, rewriting the script. So I kind of touched what that is. If we look at what our profession's reputation is, there was a tweet earlier today, or earlier this week, I forget who put it out there, but it's about asking about a financial advisor and how many people have advisors, do they work with them? And I just kind of read through the thread, and I honestly was positive. I was surprised in a positive way at the responses. There were a lot of people who said, I love my advisor, they do a great job, but there were still enough responses that said, no, you don't need them, they're going to sell you stuff, and just that negative perception of financial advisors or salespeople. So this is the reputation that I think we have, and our profession has earned it over time because of the way the business has moved. So early on, it was a stockbroker world, selling stocks, and that was the value that a financial advisor did back then. There was no planning. It was all sales of stocks and investments. And then more products came to be, whether it be mutual funds or annuities and different share classes, but it became about sales. And then the financial planning came in, and early on, it was really just the financial plan was a way to sell those products still. I remember a company I worked for, the financial planning software actually had a section in it that was for annuities, and everybody, the annuity worked for their plan, no matter their age, no matter their goals, but there was a spot in the plan to sell an annuity. So we have this reputation of sales, we have this reputation of greed, and that is earned over time. But if you look at where the profession's going, more people going to fee only, more people going to financial planning, and now evolving into life planning, we're moving away from that. So we need to overcome this reputation of sales. We need to overcome this reputation of dishonesty, of greed, of corporate environment, and change that. So that is what rewriting the script is. It's showing people that financial advisors are human beings. We are individuals, and we genuinely care about doing good work and helping people reach their goals. Yes, we all have incentive to provide for our families and build our own financial plans and generate wealth, but it's not all about that. It's about helping our clients live the lives that they want, and we need to be telling that story. So why now? Well, my answer to that is why not now? But if we are going to be thinking about becoming advisors of tomorrow, the old saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, the second best time is now. If we're building our businesses for the future and we're wanting to change the way that financial planning and advice is respected in what we're doing and how we help clients, then now is the best time to do it. And another reason is we've never had a better opportunity to be able to do so. If you go back to the days of everybody working for larger corporations and compliance and the corporate identity being stronger and more important than the individual identity. Today, RIA world is growing faster. Independent side of the business is growing faster than ever. We see people leaving the larger corporations to go hang their own shingle. So now once you get to that independent side, you have more flexibility. For those of you that are business owners, you are your compliance, you are your brand. So now it's about telling your story, and it's never been easier thanks to social media, whether it be YouTube, podcasting, blogging, Instagram, whatever it might be. It's easier to tell your story. So again, why not start now? We have the ability to do it. We have the tools. And from what I'm seeing, both in my business and through other advisors, people are looking for it. Now that the public is getting a taste of advisors being out there and putting together personal brands and telling their story and individualizing who they are and what they're about, they want that. People work with people that they like, and people are beginning to see that they can choose their advisors this way. So now they're looking for it. A lot of people are growing their business through content creation, which just supports this. Content creation is a long game. One of my favorite little sayings, it's your genuine, authentic, and long game. That's very important to what it is that I believe in. And the long game part of it is it takes time to build this up. So again, the reason to start now is if you believe in this and you want to be a part of changing the way that we're respected, you need to start putting the foundation down today to start building and compounding your library of whatever your content is that's going to tell your story and bring people through and give them an idea of what it's going to be like to work with you. So that's the why now. A real quick break to shout out to Leo. He typed it as well. So, hey, Leo, how's it going? I don't know if you saw me say hi to you and Roman earlier. So back to the subject matter at hand, the how. So how do we do it? Let's go back to the ground rules. The how first is clients first. We can create these stories. We can talk about who we are. We can have fun creating content. We can educate. But if the work that we're doing is still back in the way it used to be. It was sales driven, or it's not really planning, or it's not driving value for clients, then that doesn't matter. All the stories we can tell mean nothing. And then we become liars because we paint this picture of what we say we're going to do, what the experience is going to be like, how we help our clients. They come in the door because that's what they want, and they experience something else. Then that's not going to work. That doesn't help the cause. So the first how is, again, going back to putting clients first. But once you've agreed on that and we're doing it, now the how, this is the fun part. This is the part that I love. This is where I am a big believer in content creation. So I'm going to skip over this slide because I forgot to hit it. Focus on clients was number one. So my message was the same, but I did not use the slide right at the right time. So we'll skip over that. So focus on clients. But now we get to the fun part. So this is where the content creation comes in, and storytelling. And storytelling is something that we should have all been doing by now. It's just tweaking the way that we do it. One of the first books I read when I came into the profession was Storytelling for Financial Advisors by Mitch Anthony. And when I read it, it made total sense to me that the way to communicate is not through using the numbers. It's through using stories to help people see how whatever our recommendations are going to help them. So hopefully, if you've been in this business for any amount of time, you're comfortable telling the story. You're comfortable storytelling over just explaining things. Now you just need to tweak the story that you're telling. The story you're telling going forward, at least to grow and to make things better, is not the plan. The storytelling is your story. It's you. It's who you are. And this is how the personal brand gets developed. So tell the story of why you got into the profession. Start from day one. What is it about being an advisor that you love? We want the public to see that we care about what it is that we do, and we are very passionate about it. And if you don't tell them that, if you don't show that through your content, then they're never going to see or believe it. So talk about what it is that you love about our profession, why it is that you like helping people, how it is that you help people. And the story needs to paint the picture of, this is what I'm about as an advisor. This is where my strengths are. This is who I help. And this is the experience that you will receive working with me and my team. And paint that picture, because as you paint that picture and continue to tell that story, it will resonate with some people, and for others it won't. And that's okay. Again, going back to the abundance mindset, you're not trying to get every possible breathing person to be a client. You're trying to grow your business with the right people, and telling that story, allowing people to identify with you and what you're about and how you help people is the best way to do that. So tell your story, tell it as often as you can, tell it as many places as you can, tell it in person, face to face, tell it on a blog, tell it on a podcast, however you're comfortable with. And we'll touch base on that here in a little bit, but tell that story. And we'll get more into like ideas of how all this can work together. The second one is collaboration. All right, kind of getting into the content to tell your story, but what's the overall goal for today's conversation? Change the game that we as a profession are looked at. So we've got to do this together. Go back. We're better together, and we have this abundance mindset. So collaborate. And I've seen this firsthand, again, personally, through my All About Your Benjamins efforts, the talking shops that I've done, the podcasts that I've done, but even firsthand inside the AGC, the community that is 1 year old now, of advisors that are collaborating together, helping each other grow. But we can take that collaboration in a number of ways. So collaborate with other advisors, one, from the standpoint of making sure that clients find the right fit for their needs. So just because you aren't the right advisor doesn't mean you turn that potential client off on their own to find somebody else. If you know a good advisor that specializes in what they need, make that connection. That's a form of collaboration. You're collaborating on finding that person the best advisor to help them. Because if that person finds the best advisor to help them, then they see that, well, this person wasn't right for me. And then they were okay turning away business. And not only did they turn away business that wasn't right, they made sure that I found somebody that could actually help me. Financial advisors are good people. They really do want us to find the right spot to find the advisor that's going to help us. So collaborate in that way. Refer business to advisors that can better serve clients that come across that aren't the right fit for you. Collaborate from the standpoint of learning. There's no way as an advisor, everything that you can know. And if you're an independent advisor on your own or on a small team, even more reason to network and collaborate with other financial advisors is to learn what other advisors know. And if you get in over your head, you have somebody to go to find answers or get help with that problem. So collaboration, even before we get to the content, the fun side of stuff, could be making sure that you're knowing everything that you need to know. And if you don't, you have some advisors there that can help you out. And then be ready to return the favor. You can't be a taker. So when people come to you and advisors come to you for help, whether that be, you know, content stuff, or if it is practical things of running the plan, or how are you doing this, or what are you doing, have those conversations and give back as well, because again, we're better together. So help other advisors get better and learn, because that will reflect well on the profession, which will reflect well on you. The final collaboration is the fun one. Why can't we as advisors at different firms collaborate together? We don't all have to be a part of a big firm to do podcasts together, to write blogs together, do videos together. Collaborate amongst everybody. Again, that creates this community of advisors as a profession that are working together to better educate, to better serve, to better help. And again, that perspective will not be lost on the public, seeing us work together to educate. So again, going back to the AGC, this community of advisors all across the board of business models, years of experience, everything, working together to create a video library of basic fundamental financial planning information to go out there. So I'm in the process of finishing editing all these videos, but when we get done, we'll have our first 13 videos, which will be the very basic fundamentals of what is money, what is net worth, what's an asset, what's a liability. All the different advisors doing this on their own, taking their own time to put together this video series for the public. The perception of that is this is a great group of advisors that know what they're talking about and are willing to put their differences aside as far as being competitors, if you will, to do good for the greater population. So collaborate together on podcasts, blogs, videos, whatever it might be, but create content together to show this unified force that we are a profession that stands together, not against each other, fighting for your business. We are fighting to make sure that you, the consumer, get what you need, have a good experience, and ultimately reach your goals. And if that's with me as an advisor, great. If that's with the advisor down the street and she's better served to serve you, then that's even better. But that's what I mean by collaboration is we've got to drop this mindset that it's me versus you as an advisor. Either I get that client or you get that client. Yes, one of us is going to get that client, but that doesn't mean that one advisor won and one advisor lost. It just means that the client won, getting the best advisor for them. And it's funny, I have no scientific data, just life experience to tell you that if you operate with this mindset of optimism and abundance, by doing things the right way, good things come. I don't know if Tyrone's still watching, but he always says karma is undefeated. And he usually means that when he's talking about people doing negative things, but I think karma is undefeated as well on the positive side. If you do things for the right reasons, then good things come to you. So that is kind of my thoughts on collaboration. The final thing before we get to more on the content side, which is, I'm guessing probably why some of you are tuning in, is to hear about some content ideas, is we've got to move beyond just financial planning. I think that financial planning, using eMoney, Right Capital, Money Guy Pro, whatever it is table stakes from here on out. If you're not doing that, then clients aren't going to be interested in working with you. They might like you, they might have a relationship, but over time, they're going to want more from you, just because either they're going to hear about more from their friends and family members of working with advisors that are doing more, or they're just going to be able to go out to technology. I think that the greatest threat to advisors from technology is if you're just an asset gatherer, if you're just an investment person, unless you're running a unique strategy, but if you're putting together vanilla, low cost index portfolios, I think that there is the legitimate threat of technology replacing what it is that you do and the value you bring. Financial planning, I think a lot of that is going to get replaced by technology as well. So if we move beyond financial planning, that's why I'm a big advocate of life planning. Roger Whitney has his agile planning, but financial planning that's above and beyond just calculating numbers for retirement, calculating numbers for college, determining how much insurance somebody needs, what's the right tax loss harvesting strategies. Those are all very important, and we can't drop those from the financial planning. But I think the next level of planning is enriching your clients' lives above and beyond the plan. So whether that is life planning, a la George Kinder, getting deeper and aligning values and dollars, helping people build the lives that they truly want to live, and helping them figure out what that is, that's a pretty deep and powerful relationship that's more than just number crunching. If you're sitting down and helping somebody truly uncover what their goals are in life and what adjustments they need to make in their life to live the life that they want, to avoid having regret, that's something I don't think technology is anywhere close or will ever be able to replace, because I think that there's a human element that's needed for that. But there's other ways you can do that. You can tie in other angles. If you're passionate about health and wellness, is there a way to incorporate health and wellness in your financial plan? I had an idea that I abandoned, but I wanted to incorporate health into my planning. One of the biggest expenses retirees have is centered around healthcare, and most people in the U.S. aren't doing everything that they can to put themselves in the best position to be healthy later in life. So what if a part of your financial plan included some type of health assessment? And I was even going so far of thinking about buying an in-body machine, which is a machine that measures your body fat and weight and muscle mass and all these different metrics, and working and kind of contracting with a PN that I know to have her do an assessment every year. So you would come in, we would do your review, you'd stand on the in body, the results would go to her. She would do an assessment of where you were year over year and give you a recommendation and analysis of where your health lies. I would never see it. HIPAA rules would never be violated, but now you're leaving with not just your financial life in order, but now you have more guidance on your health and wellness to try to help you live a healthy life and see a long life and not go to retirement and get sick and not be able to do anything. I abandoned it just because I didn't know if it would work. When it comes to health and wellness, that's a very touchy subject. I put it up there with religion and politics. So I abandoned it, but that could be something you would do as well. And again, that's a different approach. It's beyond financial planning alone. And I think that is something that could differentiate and make you more valuable that people can't go elsewhere. And there's lots of things you can do with that. Another idea that I have that I'm working on implementing of moving beyond financial planning is creating this concept of community for your planning clients. So I've talked about this on a couple of podcasts and I think maybe on some videos before, but we're going to do planning. We're going to help our clients avoid regret. We're going to help them figure out what their purpose is and live that purpose. And then once we get those plans in place, I'm creating an online community on Circle as the platform to enrich their lives along the lines of those purposes. So the community will be nothing about finance. It's going to be about health and wellness. It's going to be about productivity and entrepreneurship and mindset. We're going to have guest speakers on purpose. We're going to do a book club and just give clients a place to go, be around like-minded people and learn more about the things that they're interested in that bring additional quality of life to them and keep them moving towards their purpose. I think that is something that will differentiate what we do. It will be attractive to people who are interested in it, and it will make clients really value the relationship even more because we're caring more than just the numbers. Yes, we want your money to be in good shape, but we want you to be in good shape. We want you to be growing and becoming a better person. And so adding a community component to your planning firm could be another option. But I think just running a plan, giving them a one-page document or giving them a 20-page printout PDF is not going to be enough in the future. You'll have to have that. Everybody will have it. So how do you do more? And then going back to changing the perspective, if we're doing more than just financial planning, if we're finding ways to enrich our clients' lives above and beyond tax planning, insurance planning, retirement planning, if we're doing more, then again, that just shows that we are really all about our clients, putting them first and helping them reach their goals. And I think that's a good thing for our profession and not a bad thing. And I think that offsets some of the negative perception we have to overcome. All right, I need a quick drink. Hang on one second. This is why having a guest is nice, because usually I'm not talking as much and they're talking and I get to go back and forth with them. All right, so let's get to the fun part, content creation. I am a big fan of the statement, content is king. I saw another one that said distribution is queen, which I thought was pretty good as well. So you got to create your content, then you got to distribute it. But again, why now and then how lead me personally to content. And this is where the you do you component of this presentation on the beginning slides comes to play. You may not have any interest in creating content. It may not be your strong point. You may not believe that it works, and that's okay. But for those of you that see how it works, have a desire to do that, content, I believe, is the single best way to tell your story and put it out there and let people find it. So whether it is a blog, whether it's a podcast, whatever it is that you choose to do, create that content and put it out there because it works. There's nothing more I can say. It works. It takes time. You've got to figure it out. You're going to stumble a lot. But once you kind of find your groove, it begins to work. And the work that you did 6 months ago, a year ago, will begin to pay dividends, and you'll see that. You've got to stick with it. So when it comes to content, like what's the story you need to be telling? It depends on the approach that you want to take. So some ideas I have when it comes to content creation, I think it's very important to, through your content, let people know what you stand for as an advisor. Do you believe in financial planning at the forefront? Do you believe in life planning? What's your investment philosophy? Do you believe in active management? Do you believe in passive management? Are you a small cap value type tip person? Do you believe in global allocations? Do you believe in concentrated positions? What's your belief when it comes to investing? And begin to articulate that. You don't have to be giving recommendations per se, but you can write posts about different areas of investing that tie in. Like it or not, we're always going to be looked at investment first for a while because of where our profession has come from. It's going to take a while for when people hear financial advisor, them to think financial plan. Then when financial advisor comes up, investments is the first place they go. And you know this because when you sit down with somebody in a get to know meeting, the first thing they want to go to is the investments. They want to talk about their portfolio, their IRA, their 401k. That's what we are thought of. And by telling people, about the other things we do, that's going to help. But people are looking for what's your investment philosophy. So it needs to be a part of your content strategy. But you can also start talking about how you help your clients. What's the experience like? Why do you do certain things? What do you require of your clients? And how does that tie into a plan? And when you start telling these stories, I would encourage you to figure out a way to tell that story so it's not salesy. You can tell the story of why we believe in a mission statement for our clients. What does that mean? What's important of a mission statement? How does that work? And encourage people who may never become a client to go do this themselves. And when you're telling the story of the value of a mission statement and how that could be the guiding principle to your plan, you're telling that story about why it's important, what it means. It's not about this is what we do at our firm. This is the concept you should grasp as a reader or a listener. And then you can add in, this is why we do it at our firm. This is something that allows us to ground our clients in their plan and bring them back to center if we need to. But spend most of the time on the education and on the story and very little about pitching your services, because people know when they're being sold and nobody likes to be sold. Take that back. Some people do, but most people don't. Most people are going to be consuming your content because they want to learn. So teach them, educate them, let them get to know you. So experience what your beliefs are, add in some personal side of things. Again, people like working with people that they like, and let people know who you are and what you're about. So if you have interests, allow those to sprinkle in. You don't necessarily have to make them everything that you write about, but allow those things to come in. And that's depending on what you care about most, because you want to work with people who have similar interests. And I have an interest in wellness. I have an interest in hip hop. I have an interest in, meditation, things of that sort. So I want to write about some of that stuff and incorporate that in my content where it makes sense, so that if somebody reading is interested in that, in those things as well, they're going to identify with me. And that's going to start to build a bond and before they ever come in. So incorporate a personal side and do it at a level that you're comfortable with. I include the boys and Ange quite a bit in my content, pictures, whatever it might be, storytelling. I'm comfortable with that. And to be honest with you, I don't know why. I don't know what point I thought that was what I wanted to do, but I'm comfortable with it. And it allows people to get to know me and what I'm about. And they understand that. So when they see the boys come in on a meeting, on a Zoom meeting, they're not bothered by it. They actually want to see the boys and say hi. So add your little individual side of things into it as well, so that people get to know who you are and what you're about, because they're going to be judging you. And this just speeds the process up. And it's going to end up making your conversion from inbound lead to client a lot quicker, because when you do this for a while and people get to know who you are and what you're about, and they like that, and then they finally send that email, they finally send that text or that call, they're coming to you because they want to work with you. It's not really them interviewing you to see if you're the right fit. It's more of, are they a good fit for you? They are a fan. They want to work with you. The time is right for them at that point, and you were the first person they thought of because they like you. So it speeds things up. Let people know who you are, and be you. Be unapologetically yourself. Don't put out a front. whether that be don't be more conservative than you really are, don't be more out there than you really are. Because if you put this persona out there that ultimately becomes your personal brand, that's what people are going to expect when they see you. And not only when they see you in the office, but when they see you out and around in town, when they see you on a video with another financial advisor. And it's hard to put on an act all the time. You might be able to act in the office because when you walk through that door, it tells you now's game time. But are you always going to be that person you're pretending to be when you're out at your kids' soccer games? Probably not. So be yourself. In that way, you are consistent across the board. All right. So content creation, we've got client experience, expertise, put yourself out there, and then just keep on doing it. Don't strive for perfection when you're doing it. Just get things done. Make sure the information you're relaying is accurate. If it is a technical thing, make sure it's correct, but don't worry about the grammar being perfect. Don't worry about punctuation. Don't worry about getting everything to sound perfect, because it'll never be perfect. You'll always find reasons to delay putting it out there. Just get it out there. And you'll get more comfortable, and with experience, you get better and you get quicker, and it becomes easier for you. So just keep on doing it and stick with it. I think that's all I have on the content creation. Be curious to know if there's any other follow-up questions on that, but the content creation is the best way to tell your story. And then you get into distribution, and that may be a conversation for another day and bring a guest on, but there's different ways to funnel your content out. The one thing I would say on that today, before we wrap up, is that you've got to figure out who your audience is. And this is where having a niche is very valuable. Find out who your audience is and where they hang out. And wherever they're hanging out is the minimum of where you need to be putting your content. And then you can start getting into, well, what formats? Do I want to do video? Do I want to do podcast? Do I want to write? When it comes to that question, what's the thing you're most comfortable with? And start there. So if you're most comfortable writing, start writing. Email, newsletter, blog, whatever it might be, and get it in front of the people and put it where they're going to be hanging out, so you can start building that. And with time, you can eventually turn your comfort with writing into something else. I started writing, dove into podcast, dove into video. And I do think that finding success on the first level allowed me to move up to the next, So don't try to tackle it all at once. We all know that I love video just because it can be repurposed into multiple formats: audio, written. Video allows people to see you, the way you look, the way you move. It helps build that relationship even stronger. But video is also the one that people are most uncomfortable with, understandably. That's why I have slides up, so I don't have to look at myself on a big screen. It's not the easiest thing to do, but I think it's the most impactful. So if you can get yourself there, that's a good place to be when it comes to it. And then put on all those channels. I like having content in multiple forms to tell our story, because people consume it in video form, people listen, people read, and you can have an ideal client, but they all consume differently. So if you're on all those different formats, you have a better chance of getting in front of more of the people that you want to get in front of. But this is all lost if we don't go back to the perception. And that's why we're doing this, or one of the reasons why we're doing it. Let's say that we want to create content creation because we want to educate. We want to help people learn more. We want to grow our businesses, but let's not lose sight that through this content creation, we can improve the way that we're looked at and improve our profession, which will be good for everybody. If more people trusted financial advisors, we'd have even more abundance out there and more people to help, which would be a good thing for all of us. So that's it for today's episode. Appreciate everybody who tuned in. If you're listening on Monday, thanks for tuning in. I hope that this was beneficial. But I told you I've got my upside down pyramid, my funnel, if you will, of how I plan on doing my part to changing the game of the way that we are perceived. I have this dream that I don't know if I ever will actually try to pursue it, but I think it would be pretty cool to be a part of an agency very similar to VaynerMedia that is what is the kind of go-to for financial advisors when it comes to telling their story, building their personal brand. Having a bunch of individual advisory brands or advisor brands that speaks to different people, I think is much better than having these big corporate brands and having a few of them. I think this is where more is better than less. We want more individual brands speaking to more people, allowing them to find the right advisor for the right experience, having a good experience, because then they talk positively about financial advisors. When they talk negatively about financial advisors, that's not good for any of us. And the big dream in all of this is, if we can do this at the advisor level, and if somehow I can make this VaynerMedia finance come together with a bunch of people, and now we do this on a mass level with advisors, I think the spillover effect is that we see the larger corporations, the banks, the wirehouses begin to adapt this approach, because they're seeing that it's working for all of us, and they begin to change their story. So their story is not about the big corporate brand. It's about the people that work for them, and their desire to help people. And over time, the whole financial services profession changes. And if the perception's changing, that could even lead to change some of the behaviors that are inside of what we do that are not what most of us hold ourselves to. So again, it's a big dream that I have. Baby steps. Step one is getting more of you to create content, to tell your story, to give good, positive experiences to the public, so more people see financial advisors in a good light. And as we can do that, we can begin to compound. Again, this is going to be a long game, just like the content game. So let's change the game together. Let's put clients first. Let's stick to optimism. If you're rolling with me, we've got to be positive and optimistic. We're highlighting the good things that we do, the good experiences that we provide, the success stories that we lead to. We're not spending our time bashing other advisors. We don't raise ourselves up by pushing somebody down. We raise ourselves by lifting everybody up. We're better together. And we know that there's good and bad on all models. So it's not about the model. It's more about the clients and what's coming to them, and transparency and honesty. There's more than enough people to help. So we're not fighting each other with the next client. It's making sure the client finds the right advisor for them. And the approach that I love, content creation, isn't for everybody. That's not a bad thing. If that's not your cup of tea, that's completely fine. But do what you can do to change the perception. And if it's not on a public forum like blogging and writing, that's okay. Keep on putting clients first, doing good work. It'll trickle its way out, and the referrals will come, and things will continue to go well. So we can all participate in this. But for you content creators out there, let's tell our stories. Let's tell positive stories. Let's make people excited about working with us, and see what happens, 5-10 years down the road, how we're perceived, and if we have a better reputation across the board. So appreciate you all tuning in, listening to me ramble for 40 minutes. But this is something I've wanted to talk about for a long time, and I'm kind of glad it worked out this way, being able to do this. I will put the PDF in the show notes. I don't know why anybody would want it, but it'll be there in case you want it, to kind of go back on, and maybe if you listen to it again, you can make some notes if you want. But appreciate you listening to me. Remember, next week is going to be a bonus. So on October 9th, 1 o'clock Eastern time, Brittany Castro will be joining me, and then we'll have another one the following week. So we're going to get you some extra content from the advisor of tomorrow. So be sure to subscribe to the newsletter. Head over to justincastelli.io/newsletter. The show notes will be over there. Same web address /blog. It'll be there also. So thanks for watching. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Could be continuing to put some good content there. And we'll see you all in the next episode.